For last 2 days, we are trying to study the relation between pointers and arrays. The reason is that array itself is managed by the compiler using pointer, right? Now we tried on our own to establish an external pointer and try to access all elements of an array. But we should not forget that when we talk about index of an array, the index of an array is for us. For compiler, it is something different, and it is very important to understand that. As a first step toward that, yesterday I tried to explain in detail the constant pointer at the same time, uh, limitation of constant pointer, along with the definition of the base address of an array, rather relation between base address of an array and name of a name of an array. Because I reiterated the fact that base address of an array is stored in the name of an array, which is created internally by the compiler. So that was just foundation I wanted to create to explain what I want to teach you today. So first we will try to understand that, and then we will go for second dimensional array, right, or a multi-dimensional array. We will try to see how, after all, compiler access an array element on its own. Suppose there is an array of 10 elements. I will initialize it. 10 elements are there. There was one point in the presentation I saw which I have not taught you. So first I will cover that. And that concept is called bound checking. Suppose array is basically extremely useful data type, or rather user defined data type. Very useful. Let me save first. This is a very basic program I wrote on the first an array chapter. So if I compile and run this program, I haven't yet found that this thing message, right? So this is array. Okay, array is initialized and array is printed. That's it, right? Now suppose by mistake I write here 10 because size of an array is 10. So there are greater possibilities that instead of I less than or equal to 9, you write I less than or equal to 10. This is quite obvious and it happens. Okay, many times it happens. Not by beginners, but by experts as well. Rather, a seasoned programmer. I'm going to say expert. So it prints something, right? It prints 1, which is not there. Suppose I write 100 by mistake, suppose. So it prints something, right? Garbage values are there, something is there, some junk is there, 0 is there, everything is there. Suppose there is another array, suppose no, suppose 5 elements. I write for I equal to 0, I less than or equal to 4, I plus plus. So there are two arrays. One is having size as 10, another is having 5. One is initialized, other is not initialized. If I compile this program, what happened here? Okay. run this code, it will ask for 5 numbers. I will enter those, right? So 5 elements are printed here of first array, second array, and element first array are this, whatever we have initialized. Now, I told you that if you don't write this uh, limiting condition of an array, okay, carefully, then anything can happen. Rather, it will print junk value 0. I mean anything. Okay, whatever it finds. The same mistake can happen when you take the input. Suppose I write here instead of 4. Suppose I write 14. Right? Suppose by mistake. Right? Now array size is for you. The question is whether this will stop. No, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. It doesn't give any warning as well. Right? So now array is going to execute for how many times? Almost 15 times. Right? So it will take 15 numbers from me. Now what has happened? Observe carefully. What has happened? First of all, how many elements are there? Yes, 14 are there. 3, 6, 5, 2. Okay. So these 3, 6, 5, 2, and 4. These are stored in the array now. 3, 6, 5, 2, 4. Then you started 55. Where it will be stored? And num of, where is that? And num of I. So and num of I means and num of 5. See, and num of 5 doesn't exist at all. You may feel that and num of I means next element. No, because boundary is there. And num of 4 is last element of an array. No, and num of 5 means which? No, it doesn't take. No, you cannot say that that will be the next memory location ahead of allocated memory for num array. No. But still, since you have written the loop and you are accepting input of integer inputs inside the loop using printf and scanf, then it is its duty. So you go on accepting. It won't actually restrict you. It won't stop you. So it will take 10 more numbers. Rather, how many? 11. 11 are there, right? Or 10, whatever. So what has happened is that it has affected perhaps this secondary. Because what was the secondary? 12, 34, 98, 5, 43, 75, 12, 45, 7, and 10. What has happened here? 14. Where is that 14? 14. From where 14 came? See here, 14 is there. Now, this 14 has overwritten memory of this array. Got that? Have you seen the thread? Have you seen what can lead to a small typo mistake in your program? Not necessarily this will happen every time. Some other time, something different will happen. But this time around, see, this is not going to happen every time. I told you. So 14, 85, 95, 45, 65, 45, and 75. All these have been no overwritten here. So earlier values which were initialized, these are overwritten. Okay. And then 40, yeah, 45 is there, 7 is there, 12 is there. But has compiler did it by taking your permission? No. Why compiler will take your permission? You have made the mistake. So what is the meaning of that? Array doesn't have a bound checking. Array doesn't have a bound checking. Java has got. C, C++. These two programming languages doesn't have a bound checking of an array. So you need to be very careful when you uh, take input values. Okay. When you write loops, when you assign elements, whatever you do, you have to take care. Earlier, I just inserted one element, right? Rather, loop was mm, loop was iterated one more time than the size of an array. But here, and this mistake is quite clear. Instead of 4, you can write 40 as well. 40. This is quite obvious. So what conclusion we can make? Array doesn't have a bound checking, right? Okay. Right. Now I have to save this because without saving I cannot write this pointer notation. Right. Now question is how we know that when you said number of I, initially I is 0, so number of I is this element, number of 0 is this element. I have explained you that num of 0, num of 1, num of 2. So last element will be num of number of 9, right? So if I write here, if you can recall, first element in the array above is number of 0, right? Second element is number of 1. And likewise, last element is in the array is number 9 or array size minus 1, whatever. Now, uh, we know all these things, but how compiler manages all these things? That is a big question. Whether compiler knows that num of I is this, num of 0 is this, num of 1 is... No, 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 no. Compiler doesn't know this. Compiler has got some other plan. Compiler, I have told you, what? Base address of an array is, rather we will write the statement in reverse way. Name of an array contains the base address of an array, right? And second thing what they have given is a constant, that is from pointer arithmetic. A constant or integer constant can be added to a pointer. Using these two statements, rather these are the rules. These are the rules of a language. These are syntax of language, right? These are the what is taught. This is taught to the compiler because these are rules of the array designed by the Dennis Ritchie. So the compiler makes use of these two statements intelligently, and when accessing these elements, each element, it converts this into pointer notation. So how it is converted into pointer notation? Like this. So num of I, look carefully, num of I is converted into a pointer notation as num of I is num plus I and star of that. This is very important. Look carefully. Sorry, not num, number. Right? See this carefully. Number of I, that location or that variable is internally converted by the compiler as star of number plus I. So if I write, if I say I am compiler converts it, let's we write in that fashion in compiler's own language and check whether compiler really does that, because without that we cannot verify. So I will write star of number plus I. Let's check whether program is executed, because it should execute. Okay, so now there are no errors. So it works, right? So what I mean, this is the internal representation of an array element. How these access. So how does the compiler access? Is that it knows base address, right? Compiler has got only base address, because to understand array or any C language or any programming language, if you want to understand what happens at the memory level, you yourself have to take to that memory, and you need to stand inside a machine or on the memory or inside CPU. You need to stand and look around you what is happening. So at that level you need to imagine, then only you will be able to understand. Now try to understand what I am trying to explain. What I mean, huge memory is there, right? And you have taken just uh, memory for 10 elements. Can you see, there is memory for 10 elements. So there is a memory, here is a memory, here is memory, and here is memory. And out of that whole pool of a memory, you have taken just how many bytes? Suppose it is an integer array, so 40 bytes, 10 into 4 bytes per element. 40 bytes only 40 bytes you have taken from memory in MBs, right? So, and you, you want to access elements. What you have got in your hand is that each memory of that has been assigned as a num of 0, num of 1. Is there any like a plate is there, like the plate is there in front of home? Okay, this is his house, this is his home, this is his house. Okay, no plate, nothing is there, only memory, only memory is there. So how, no, how elements can be accessed from that memory? Compiler doesn't have any option. No option is there. Only option it has got the base address of base address of an array or address of the first element. It has got that one. Otherwise it doesn't have anything. So what does he do? What he can do, he cannot do anything except use the base address to element to access whichever element in the array, because this is element of a array of 10 elements. What if arrays of 1000 elements? What if arrays of 10,000 elements, right? So what does it do? You have put that inside the loop, right? So number is there, right? Suppose here, right here, right? Suppose number contains base address as anything. Suppose 12458, right? So number contains 12458 plus I. What is the I? 0, right? So it will be 12458 star of that. What is that? Star of 12. Next time control goes inside the loop. What is the I? 1. Number plus I. Number plus 1. I taught you pointer arithmetic. When you add 1 to integer pointer, it will be incremented by 4 bytes. So it will become 62, right? What is the final value of this expression? 12462. What is the star of that? 34. That's it. That's it. This is how internal representation of a array is made by the compiler. This is very important to understand. See, this is the basis for all arrays in the world, not array in C. Everywhere, everywhere. So this is about the what I wanted to tell you, pointer notation of an array. Suppose in the first program, you can remember we store, I think, marks of particular subject for 10 students or 5 students, something like that. Okay. What if, what if I want to store two marks of 5 subject for 3 students? Marks of 5 subjects, you can declare an array of 5 integers, right? Marks of 5 subjects for 3 students, so you need to declare 3 arrays, right? For student number 1, one array; for student number 2, second array; for student number 3, third array. That is what we can do, right? So how to do that? What is the syntax for that? I declare an array like I will give students marks. How many students? Suppose 3 students, right? And how many subjects for each student? Let's say 5. So that will be an array of 3 students and 5 subjects, right? Now, how does it? How does the compiler, after all, sees at this? That is very important because I told you that I told you that pair of brackets, pair of rather square brackets, informs the compiler that a programmer is going to deal along with an array. But successive pair of brackets are there. There are 2. So compiler understands that you are trying to deal along with deal one. Again array. Double dimensional array, basically concept is not there. Right? But because whether you make a double dimensional array or 3 dimensional array or 4 dimensional array, whatever, array elements are going to be stored continuously. That is sure. Okay. What I mean, the first, what is written inside the first pair of square brackets is a row size, and second is a column size, right? So if array is of int num 4 and 5, right, there will be 4 rows and 5 columns, right? 4 rows and 5 columns. This is what you see in front of you on the slide is a pictorial representation. It is not memory presentation. It is not memory representation. Memory representation is sequential bytes. Sequential, complete sequential. So even though you can see the double dimensional here on the, this is for our understanding, right? If I want to show you, if you have declared an array of array size with 4 and 5, 5 by 5. This is a 4 rows and 5 columns, right? Now, inside memory, elements are stored like this. How many are there? I don't know, whatever. So these elements are stored contiguously in memory. So inside memory, the elements are stored like this, right? So double dimensional representation only for our understanding. Now here as well, indexing starts from 0 for row as well as for column. So this is 0th row, right? This is 0th. This is the first row. This is second row. This is third row. Right? Similarly, 0th column. This is 0th column. First column, second, third, and fourth column. So index will be a double index. So what will be index of this element? 0, 0. What will be index of this element? 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4. Right? What is the index of this element? 0, 1, 0, 2. No, sorry. First element. So 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. 2 1 2 2 2 2 0 2 1 2 2 2 3 2 4 like that, right? So for single dimensional array, indexing starts from 0 onwards. For double dimensional array, indexing for the row starts from 0 as well as for column starts from 0, right? So while writing loop, you need to take care of that. So how to populate this array? What do you mean by populate? To store elements, that is called populating an array. Hmm? For I equal to 0, I less than or equal to 2, I plus plus. For j equal to 0, j less than, outer loop will execute for number of rows, inner loop will be executed for number of columns. You have to think on your own. 4. J plus plus. You can write printf. But one more problem is there. The problem is that 3 students store 5 store marks of 5 subjects for 3 students. But 3 students means what? 3 students must have some data. Marks has got data. Students must have got some data, right? So having roll number. So we need to write roll number, right? So there will be 5 columns for 5 subjects. There should be one more column for roll number, right? So I will write here enter, enter, enter roll number, because if you can know visualize that matrix, right? 3 rows and 6 columns, right? In the first column there should be roll numbers, right? In the first column. So as soon as the loop enters inside outer loop, then whatever you enter for that row index will go on changing, but column index will remain 0. If you can imagine all these things, I have to write here scanf percent d, right? And I have to write student marks of. Here I need to write I. Here I need to write 0 because 0 is going to be constant value. Because 0th column, this is a row, this is a column, right? And we are trying to store roll number in the first column for each row. So that's why. And here I have to write J as 1, not 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? 5 here, right? And here I will write enter marks, right? Percent D ampersand students marks of. Here there can be I comma j, there is no problem, because I is going to take value and j is going to take value. Okay, and then for I equal to 0, I less than or equal to 2. A small mistake will lead to error here. For j equal to 0, less than or equal to 5, j plus plus. Print the percent 4d and students marks no I G. Then it will print everything in one line, right? So here you need to put the one slash n so that next row goes to next line. Let's hope. So it will work, the program will work like this. Right? Enter roll number. So suppose roll number is 105. Marks. Enter roll number. Suppose 108. Enter roll number. Suppose 204. Got that? So this is the use of a multi-dimensional array. So this is a roll number of one student. I marked for 5 subjects. Roll number of second student. So you can modify this program. No, here you can print the total, right? Percentage, lot of things. Uh, you can find out in which subject, for each subjects who has got the highest marks, right? Suppose this is subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, subject 4, right? Subject 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can develop this program on subject 5, which is the topper. So this is the topper. For subject 4, who is the topper? That 10 roll number 105 is the topper. Like that, right? So you can take a simple single program and do anything what you want for learning. Now this can be written again function, then no, then you can embed switch case, what you want to do. A lot of, see, then sky is the limit. You can do anything what you want. If you want to find the average, then some changes need to be made, right? Because you want to find the average here, right? But array can be of integers only. So full array has to be made as a float array because you cannot make an array of integers as well as a float. Okay, it is not list in Python. List has got that facility, but here you cannot make that. So you have to make that as a floating point array. But um when you declare that floating point array, these roll numbers should not be printed in floating point values because roll number cannot be 105.5 or 105.00. So it has to be printed in digital, I mean integer, a kind of integer format, okay, with typecasting or kind of that. But I'll give you an example how it can be a three-dimensional array. Now there are three students and three students and six subjects, right? It can happen that there are four batches, right? So how will be an array? Int, suppose I declare only marks, right? So four batches. In each batch there is three students, and each student has got five subjects. So it will be an three-dimensional array of four batches, three students in each batch, and each student is having five subjects, right? It will be four dimensional as well, right? Like four batches. I mean, in the first month, I mean, so 12 months are there. Suppose 3 months are there or 4 months are there. So it will go on increasing. Multi-dimensional array is accessed by compiler because that query must be there in your mind. What is the pointer notation for multi-dimensional array? Because pointer notation is going to be there. It is bound to be there, right? Because again, as I showed you, there is what I showed you on the this thing here. Even though this is a multi-dimensional array, memory is continuous, right? So finding those elements, storing those elements, accessing those, processing the is not that much easy for compiler. So compiler again takes care of pointer, that base pointer. So how does it do that? It does like this. I'll write here. Suppose there is an array, right? Suppose of num uh, 2, 3, 5. So how does what is the loop for accessing elements? The loop is like this: for I equal to 0, right? I less than or equal to 2, I plus plus. And we write here something printf. Suppose it is populated, array is populated. Suppose so, I write here percent suppose d, and we write num of I, comma j. I hope all you can see this. So the question is how this is converted into pointer notation by the compiler, because compiler doesn't know anything about index and all these things. Doesn't know. So compiler does what? Compiler, look carefully. Compiler knows the base address, right? It adds one to that, right? It attaches star to that, right? It adds not one, I will say I. It adds j to that, right? And to that whole, it takes the star of that. What this? It is very difficult to understand. Okay, I agree. It is because it's double star. It is double star. So why there is a double star? There is a double star because in the single dimensional array, num contains the base address of an array. I wish, I hope you understand exactly what I am telling you. Okay, it is difficult. In the single dimensional array, the name of an array contains the base address of single dimensional array. Here on when double dimensional array is concerned in the earlier slide, this is a double dimensional array, right? What does the compiler do? Double dimensional array is an array of single dimensional array. Are you getting what I mean? Double dimensional array is an array of single dimensional array. So internally compiler creates four more pointers. How many? Four. In the earlier case, it created only one pointer. In double dimensional array, it creates four pointers. Right? So compiler creates an array of pointers. Right? So this has got some array. This element has got some address, right? Because I told you a double dimensional array is an array of single dimensional array. Sorry. So this is one array, this is second array, this is third single dimensional array, this is single dimensional array. This single dimensional array has got base address, so it store this point. Okay, I have clicked one box, the left bottom corner, there is an address. This address is stored here in this pointer. Similarly, this address is stored in this. This address is stored in this pointer. This address is stored in this pointer. And this is an array of pointers. And base address of this an array is stored here. And this is called no, right? So if you want to access this element, right, follow this. I will copy this here, right? What is num? Num is this address plus I, right? Suppose it is 0. So this address, right? No, this address, right? Sorry. Num is this address plus I is 0. So when you add 0 to that, it is still that address. Star of that. What is star of this? This. Plus J, right? What is J? 0. And star of that. So this element, right? When I is incremented, it goes like this. When J is incremented, it goes like this. And any element can be accessed. Any. You name the element with the help of I and J. Not only I and J, with the help of these two pointers. Why two pointers? Because address of this is stored here, which is array of pointers, and base address of that is stored here. See, this is the internal representation. That's why it is not revealed, written, explained anywhere. But this formula works 100%. You take that, I'll share this along with you. Take that, study that on your own. Spend couple of hours. It is not job of 10 minutes or 15 minutes. If you want to learn, if you want to understand what happens inside the machine, if you are not, forget about that, it is not that much necessary. Okay, because without pointer everything is going on, right? If you are interested, go inside the machine. Okay, so I will convert this. How I convert this? Student marks plus I, students marks plus I, star of j, plus j right, because that is this is the pointer notation. Sorry, star here, no, starting with star here. We have to put that double pointer. What is double pointer? Storing an address of a pointer variable in another pointer. Oh my god, I want to store these many values. No, 3 6. Okay, so roll number 101. Got that? It works along with the pointer notation. We wrote the pointer notation because we want to check whether compiler works in this fashion. So if when you write using index of an array notation, compiler converts that notation into this way, right? It is internally converted into this pointer notation, and then only then it executes that, rather it accesses all those elements. So it applies here as well, everywhere. It applies everywhere. You have written for your own purpose. Got that? Questions time. What are your questions?